What is the scariest thing that happened to you? My dog was sniffing around a Sonoran desert toad in my backyard one night. Sonoran desert toads can secrete an immensely deadly toxin through their skin when they feel threatened. If ingested, the toxin will kill any sized dog in about 15 minutes. And there's nothing you can do to stop it. Spent the next 30 minutes having a panic attack and trying to decide how I would end my life if my dog died. Luckily, she lived and didn't display any symptoms of ingesting the toxin, but that was easily the scariest and worst 30 minutes of my life. I drove off of a 35-foot cliff. When I was 19, I was driving on a road with a lot of curves and a cliff on one side. I was messing around with my CD player sound system and didn't notice I was running off the side of the road. I overcorrected, lost control, and over the edge I went. I landed between two trees that were spaced just enough for my truck to fit through. If I would have landed 6 inches into the left or right, I would have been ejected from the vehicle. Somehow I walked away with only a couple of scratches. The scariest thing in the last week happened to me yesterday. I just got a green light when suddenly a jerk in a pickup pit goes blazing right on through the intersection on a red light. They had to be going at least 15 mph over the speed limit at a minimum, if not 25, because they were already long gone in under a second. If I had started going the second the light turned green, I might have been killed by that careless asshole. Or at the very least I'd be very badly injured since I drive a small sedan. Is your mum a psychologist? Which is true, and it fucked me up. And last of it, he asked for a picture with me, and I accepted. I'd why? And for this I'd who the fuck is he and why he knew stuff about me. Almost getting carjacked on our way home from Palm Springs. Really high transient got into our car asking for a ride. Just got and went in our back seat. He got really agitated when we were asking where to drop him off. Thank God for rush hour traffic. He was sitting behind me, and I was running through my head all the scenarios he could have done to injure me. We made enough noise after we pulled into a busy parking lot to get him out of our car. Once me and my boyfriend went to a party, and we were drinking, but he also takes some pills with the alcohol. That was so strong we had to go back home. I put him into bed and lay next to him. He wanted to have sex. Obviously I don't, and I told him. He was so drooch he didn't stop, and I couldn't do anything because he was stronger. Fortunately, when I shouted at him, he realized and immediately stopped and begging me to forgive him. Almost got out unscathed. Apart from a few minor fractures and injuries. The firefighters and the ambulance, when they arrived, said it's a wonder that we had about one to survive such a situation. Either when I was 7 and was play wrestling with a cousin, he put too much weight on my neck and ability for hearing and breathing just went away for a few seconds, then randomly came back. Or when I was 8 and crashed through a barbed wire fence on a dirt bike. Blacked out when I hit it and woke up dripping blood in a field. 16 stitches on forehead and ear. I was really sick one day in elementary school. Ended up throwing up and at the same time pooped myself. I ran to the bathroom and told the front desk I had an accident. My grandpa came to the school with a new pair of underwear. The scariest part is my grandpa passed away, so who will be there for me when I need someone? During my wife's C-section, things went wrong. The surgeon was struggling to stop the bleeding and one of the machines that monitored stuff stopped working. The surgeon did keep his cool and my wife was fine. But at that time I had just been handed my slime-covered baby and was terrified I was about to lose her mother. My brother, older cousin, and I were driving through the city and stopped to get a bite to eat. We were headed back to my house and drove across the train tracks when the train literally went right behind us. No lights. No arms let down, no bells, no. We all were at the next light-in shop. I used to work a farm. One day I was cleaning the silos. I slipped inside and got trapped in there. It was a pretty old. I didn't have my phone. I was stuck in there for 21 hours. I was rescued after my boss came to check if I did a good job cleaning the silo or not. Only girl to fall her class in 4th grade. Felt like the world laughed at me. Hid under my desk out of shame. Never told my mum because she'd worrying. It's been 30 years and I live that shame every day. It never leaves me no matter what. I bungee jumped and had PTSD for 3 weeks. Felt like I was back on that platformer every time I thought about it. Just this tight pang in my chest. A sudden rush of adrenaline and terror. I'm not sure if I'm glad I did it or not. I was at my friend's house one time for NYE and his dad was completely hammered and he started chucking fireworks into the street and seeing what happened. One of them just happened to fly about 2 inches right past my eye. My doctor told me I had cancer. Fortunately, the next doctor I went to told me I actually had a benign tumor that could be removed surgically and wouldn't require radiation or chemo. So it wasn't that bad. Was traveling abroad on a solo trip and a random guy broke into my room in the middle of the night. After that, I have a habit of putting furniture in front of the door wherever I stay in a hotel. Riding a bike home from Walmart, getting hit by a truck. Flying into a rock which fractured my skull, knocked out a piece of it, which apparently saved my life because my brain was swelling a lot. My brakes went out while driving on the interstate during a rush hour. I did manage to pull over safely. Could have easily crashed my car. Luck out by the skin of my teeth. A girl I was raw dogging told me she tested positive for HIV. After many blood samples over a few year time, I can definitely state I dodged that disease. Probably either the time I got a knife pulled out on me and hit around the head by random strangers, or the time I went through psychosis. I used to deliver pizza and almost got obliterated by a car by not looking both ways, finding my son's lifeless body in chest-deep water and performing CPR to save him, after having the whole back of my skull taken off and put back on. Not much. Some childhood experiences was beaten, etc. Do not want to go into detail. Woke up to find an intruder standing beside my bed looking down at me. Yesterday my dad told me he has pancreatic cancer and MAF and mess. A tire rolling into the front of my Lexus while going 70 miles per hour. Somewhat lost at sea in the Florida Keys in my teens.